Hello, Erica here. I'm here today to do my March wrap-up. I read a lot of things in March again. I'm still going strong so far this year. But I will tell you that one thing that I was supposed to read in March that I did not finish was Middlemarch. Tanya from List Obsessed Reader and Heather from Illogical Betty and I were trying to read this month. I don't think any of us have finished it. So I will be carrying this on into April. I'm about halfway through, so I'll read the second half next month, and it'll be fine. Now on to things that I did finish. First, I read this tiny little adorable bilingual edition of Love Poems by Pablo Neruda. I really like Neruda's poetry, and this was good as well. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. Next, I got my pre-order copy of The Boy Who Lost Fairyland by Catherine M. Valente. This is the 4th book in the Fairyland series, which I'm sure you have all heard about. I did do a full review on this, and it has no spoilers for the series, so if you're interested, I will link up below, and you can check that out, but I ended up giving this 5 out of 5 stars. And then I read some things for the Read-A-Rama Readathon that happened earlier this month. I read Persepolis by Marjane Satrapi. This is a graphic memoir about her time growing up in Iran during the Iranian Revolution. I really enjoyed it. It was very interesting. It was heartbreaking at times. It was funny at times. And as well as illustrating the struggles that were specific to the author as an Iranian girl growing up, it also has just an overarching theme of coming out of adolescence and the struggles that present themselves during that time in anyone's life. So I really like this, and I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I also read Volume 2 of Alex and Ada by Jonathan Luna and Sarah Vaughn. I loved it just as good, if not better, than the first volume, and I will talk about it more in my next comics roundup. Then I read Bobcat and Other Stories by Rebecca Lee. This is a collection of short stories. A lot of them deal with unrequited love. They're set in kind of like academic or university backgrounds. There's only 7 stories in the collection, so it's not too long. I liked pretty much all of them. There were 1 or 2 that fell a little flat for me, but overall I gave the collection 4 out of 5 stars. And then I read This Is How You Lose Her by Junot Diaz. This is the last of Diaz's major works that I had not yet read. Like his other works, it does follow Junior, the main character from A Brief Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde, and his family. And this was interesting. I love his writing style is so gritty. It's so raw and very blunt and straight to the point, and I really liked that. I had a few issues with the way that the female characters were treated in this book, but that's kind of to be expected with the subject matter. So overall, I gave this 3.5 stars. And then I finished reading Hardboiled Wonderland and the End of the World by Haruki Murakami. This was so much fun, and I'm still thinking about it, which Murakami novels always do to me. They have this lingering effect, which I think is one of the reasons why people love him so much. This is, it's kind of hard to describe, like all of his novels are, so, you know, I'm just not going to go there, but it was really fun. It was a little bit more sci-fi-esque than I found some of his other works to be. But I liked that about it, and it still had like weird magical realism elements and characters who just kind of fall down the rabbit hole and go with it. So I ended up giving this 4 out of 5 stars as well. This month I also read The Color Master by Aimee Bender. This was originally the short story collection I picked out to read for this month. This is my first Aimee Bender, and it was really fabulous. These stories have stuck with me, which doesn't always happen with short story collections. Sometimes they just kind of fade. But these were so cool and so weird. Some of them are like very fantastical, and some of them just have some mild magical realism to them. But I really like this. I enjoyed Bender's writing style, and I'm definitely going to read more from her in the future. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. Then for #Year of Cosmere, I read The Well of Ascension, the 2nd book in the Mistborn series. I love this. I read this in 2 days. I completely neglected my life for it. I am so ready to continue on with the 3rd book in the series. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. Obviously, I can't tell you too much about plot because it's the 2nd in a series, but if you have not yet read Mistborn, please do it. I also finished the 2nd book in the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb. This is Royal Assassin. It's the sequel to Assassin's Apprentice, which I read in February, and I really enjoyed this too. This is another big one, but I kind of just put my life on hold and finished it in just a couple of days. The character development in this was awesome, as it was in the first book, and again, I'm looking forward to finishing out this series soon. Then I read another graphic novel. This is volume 1 of Sex Criminals. This is by Matt Fraction and Chip Zdarsky. I don't know how to say that. This was good. I've heard already, and the second volume was just released, but I've already heard that the second volume blows this one out of the water, which is part of the reason why I picked this one up. It's because I want to read the second volume. I'm going to continue on with this series. Then I read All Backs Returned by Mark Hlasko. I asked for this and was sent it by New Vessel Press for review, and I will be doing a full review of it. It's just a tiny little book. I have some thoughts, though, so look forward to that review in the next 2 weeks or so. Also this month, I finished listening to The Warmth of Other Suns on audiobook. This is a nonfiction book by Isabel Wilkerson about the Great Migration in America, which was a mass movement where blacks from the South moved north and west, and it is a movement that is often neglected in, public education history classes. It was absolutely phenomenal. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It probably would have been a 5 out of 5 star book for me, honestly, if I hadn't listened to the audiobook, but I get really distracted with audiobooks, so that might have taken away from the experience. But I'm going to go buy it today, I think, a physical copy of it, because it's something that I would like to reread in the future. And then lastly, I haven't technically finished this yet. Today is the 29th of March, but I only have this much to go, so I will be finishing this in March, I'm pretty sure. This is Portnoy's Complaint by Philip Roth. I've owned this book for a long time and have been putting it off forever. I had no idea how weird this was going to be. This is basically like a story. The protagonist is talking to his therapist throughout the entire book. And he's kind of reminiscing on his childhood and his Jewish upbringing, but also trying to deal with the strange sexual longings he has as an adult. And it's pretty lewd. It's a little funny, but also a little over the top for me. I don't know. We'll see how I feel about it when I get to the end of it, though. I'll let you know. So yes, those are all the things I read in March. I think that's like 13 things. It's a lot of things. Some of them were rather short, though. And let me know what you read in March. If you have any questions about any of these books, let me know that too. And I will see you soon. Bye!